أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. You are welcome to your program, The Nexus, where we give you information that relates to affairs of Nigerians, particularly our religion, Islam. Today, inshallah, is promised to be another wonderful one, and we are looking straight at what is trending now in our society, which is extrajudicial killings in Nigeria. And we want to look at it from the angle of the federal government winning the war against the insurgents and Boko Haram and others. Since the federal government claimed they are winning the war, so many attacks has already been launched by the Boko Haram in so many places in Nigeria. And also we'll be looking at the current situation that is going on now, which is the herdsmen that's being alleged killing people in Benue, other places in Nigeria. And vis-a-vis, what are the objectives of this and what is the federal government doing about this? Please permit me to welcome to the studio my co-panelists to help to analyze this particular issue so that we can get the details. Join me to welcome into the studio our Ustaz Ibrahim Balogun. Ustaz Ibrahim Balogun is an Islamic affairs analyst. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And as usual, I have my brother, Barrister Muhammad Daibu, is a public affairs analyst. Assalamu alaikum
wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And let's take our brother, Ustaz Balogun, on his submission on herdsmen and federal government position.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I want to start by saying there's still a lot of confusion concerning who the herdsmen are. Are they Fulani? Are they from other parts of Africa? Are they from Nigeria? What's their mission? How did they start? What have they done so far? And who's to blame? And is every attack that is ascribed to them actually from them? These questions we may not be able to answer yet because events are still unfolding. The one which seems a bit clear is what has happened in Benue, Agatuland, and in Logo, I think.
In Enugu.
No, I'm not coming to Enugu yet. I'm talking about Benue.
Benue, okay.
Now, what happened in Benue, if you listen to the Minister of Agriculture, who is actually from Benue State, Audu, he mentioned something which is critical to understanding what's going on there. And one of the things he said was that there's about 40 or more kilometers of farmland, rich, fertile farmland in the Agatu area. And that this seems to be the target of these people whose grazing lands are dwindling due to farming and other activities in the north. So they are moving to the middle belt and down south to get more for their cattle. Unfortunately, some of these people are unscrupulous. We often, if you're not from the north or you're not accustomed to the northerners, think that everybody who rears cattle is Fulani. They are not all Fulanis. Some are from other tribes and so on, and everyone tries to protect himself by and large. What we grew up knowing was that the herdsman would have a pouch where he has his money and another small place where he has maybe like a cutlass because of the kind of very difficult terrains they have to move in.
I'd like to really appreciate the fact that he said not all herdsmen are Fulani. It's actually true. One of the things I found is that we Nigerians were quick to tag something, give it a particular tag, a particular definition. Now, the situation is still quite unclear. Many situations that happen now, the first thing you hear is the Fulani herdsmen. I don't have a problem with you saying herdsmen are doing something wrong if they are doing it. But remove the tag away from it first, and let's look at the problem in its entirety. Now, if you find that the Fulanis are the majority of these people perpetrating this act, which they are not solely the ones, you understand? You can actually now say, okay, to be able to appraise the whole situation, we need to address everybody. Like, I was listening to a program on the radio, and one of the chief representatives of the herdsmen was speaking, and he said something about being quick to judge. That there are so many herdsmen around. If you come to Ilorin, where I'm from, there are so many people that are into this business that are not even anywhere close to being Fulani. And some of them can be violent. Obviously, they want to acquire more lands, not necessarily keep it permanently, but to be able to feed their animals. But by so doing, they clash with the farmers. One thing happens, the other one leads to another, violence comes up. And sometimes the herdsmen actually suffer for it as well. So we need to look at the two sides. Who's encroaching on whose land? What other provisions can we make? They made some points about boundary setting and registration by all the herdsmen. It's a welcome development, but there has to be a lot that goes into that.
Okay, from my own point of view, I think I am just a little bit carried away by the old saga from the onset when I got to know about it, because I used to love, and I still love, the Fulani herdsmen, so to say, because I call them Agoi, and because I love them because of their own sacrifice to the national unity of our country, particularly their own sacrifice in terms of rearing the cows and making them available for us to eat. And for all these years, we have heard a lot of information concerning them that are very peaceful. I voted for them as man of my millennium. So to let you know how passionate I am. But my angle of it at this particular time now is that it has now become issue of threat. Another insurgency is coming up because the Agbekoyas from the west, the Niger Delta people and the South emancipation of Biafra people have said that they are going to defend their own territory should in case the Fulani herdsmen are coming again to come and attack. And I'm seeing it as if something is turning to gradually becoming a national. This time around, it's not south, it's not northeast again. It's going to be a national issue because Yoruba people are ready to protect their own land. The Igbos are ready to protect it. And Benue now, because the last one that happened, that they said, they alleged that 83 cows and 20 people were killed, I think about 2-3 days ago. These people claim that the youth of Agatu came after the river to come and attack them by shooting. And nobody is reporting about that. And look at it. It's generating to something that is about another national insurgency. That's just my fear.
Effective. I don't think the federal government has done well enough to arrest the situation. Because if you've looked at the history of events like that, insurgencies and so on, they start on a mild note like this, and then somebody just ignores, and it becomes a huge problem that you can barely tackle easily. So I think the government has not really done well enough to tackle the situation. For example, I do not know what is wrong with the media team, but I don't think it's sharp enough and it's responsive enough to give information and updates to people in good time. The Agatu killings happened, there was barely anything from the presidency. The one that happened in Logo, there was nothing from the presidency. It took the killing in Enugu and a lot of noise from those who were victims before the president responded. But he responded to something before that, which was the bombing of gas pipelines, and was saying he threatened far away from Nigeria. I think it was in which country then?
China.
He was in China when he said he would treat those who destroy these infrastructure just the same way he would treat Boko Haram. Yes, fine and good, we want the president to treat it that way, but why are you not treating something equally explosive? Because if you go back to the history of this country, the pogroms that happened in the north in 65, 66, 60, up to 67, led to the civil war of that same 67, because somebody took advantage of the way people had been killed. He took advantage of their emotions. He leveraged on the grief of the people and said, let everybody come back. They don't want us in this country anymore. Whereas the ulterior motive behind it was political. That somebody who you were classmates in school is now your head of state, to whom you have to say, sir.
And you don't want to do that.
And you don't want that. Someone you once called Jack and who called you Emeka becomes your new head of state, and you're thinking something is wrong with the army, because there were more, there were superior officers to Gawan when he became head of state, but he was the most senior northern officer left alive. You know, all these kinds of things can snowball into something very serious. You're killing people in one part of the country, and you're having a lot of agitations from that part of the country that you do not seem to be responding to in real time. After a while, they will think, oh, he's Fulani, the people killing are, in quote, Fulani, hence his silence. And silence, as far as people believe, means consent. So I really think
to support him on what he's saying, there must be regular updates. Not only should you come out and address a particular situation that a particular community or a tribe or a sect or a section of Nigeria is going through, there must be updates of achievements, of moves that you are making to solve the problem. It's not only enough as a government, even if they are doing their best security-wise to secure people's lives. You must put the information out there. You must involve the people in governance. Ask them in a way that makes them feel like they're a part of the solution and not the problem. For example, on the radio, one of the representatives of the president, Sheikh Wadeni said something that I quite agree with, but the way he said it was very wrong. What he said was, they asked him a question about power, and he said the federal government is doing the best they can. As a matter of fact, they are breaking grounds, they are achieving a lot, which I totally agree with, but people are vandalizing the infrastructure. Very true. Now, he now went further to say, if federal government is doing their best and people are vandalizing it, what do you expect us to do? I don't expect him to talk like that. I expect him to say, we are doing our best as the federal government to provide this facility. People are destroying it, but we need the people to help us. We don't have the manpower. We all know that. Police is underpowered by servicemen. But then you don't have to come out and tell us what do you do about it when you have police, Air Force, Army, all the security agencies to back you up. So you must come across like you feel the pain of the people. You must feel the pain of people. You must update them. For him to have taken so much time to talk about this so-called Fulani heads situation and address it that, look here, don't target this situation, but we are taking measures to solve this problem. It would have calmed a lot of people's mind down. And the people that are looking to take advantage of you not talking will not capitalize.
Well, Barrister and my learned brother, I think I still have to disagree with both of you. Yes, you made a very vital point that the federal government should have proactive, coming from the background of what we have went through, history lane, of what have led to a lot of civil war and insurgency. But to me, I believe that, as you just said, that we had security agencies who are already on this matter. As a matter of fact, when Enugu saga became worsened, when people were crying here and there, the Commissioner of Police in charge of Enugu State came out with a press release that these people you are calling Fulani herdsmen are not the one, it's a communal clash. I think these are government representatives, and they have done their own research before they came out with this position. The federal government might, in their way, I'm not their spokesperson, but I think they need to get adequate information from all the service chiefs, from the press, balance, not one side, because at the time of report of everything, nobody reports about who and how many people were killed by from the Fulani side.
To politely object to what you're saying, I totally get the angle you're coming from. But what you are not considering is, even though the Commissioner of Police came out and spoke about the situation, was it enough for Nigerians? It's never enough.
But he's in charge of Enugu.
Let me get to my point. It's never enough. You at the top, so long as Nigerian lives are lost, you have to come out and give us a direction. At every point in any serious government, the president must come out and address, not directly, but by his spokesperson. That's why they're getting, what are they getting paid salaries for? If they come out once in a while that they feel like, then they should be on wages.
Okay.
To even buttress the barrister's point, look at the United States, for example, and see what is the response of their president to killings of even 1 or 2 citizens.
We're yet to be there.
I'm coming to that. There is nothing that stops you from being there. What he does is he comes on TV, on national TV, and says, this must stop. And I've seen Obama even crying on TV on account of the death of just a few citizens, children in an elementary school. In Nigeria here, hundreds of people are killed, no response from my president. And then there was a bombing of a pipeline, and I heard threats from my president. And then there was another killing of a large number of people. And then the president was silent again, and people started saying, why not talk about this one? Why are you not talking about this one? Why are you only talking about the bombing of the pipelines? And it took so much noise before the president would then address this issue, and he did not have the threats he made for the bombing of the oil installation.
So the threats were not equally like the way he did it.
They were not commensurate with the severity of the situation.
Okay, let's take this. Let's take a look at what happened.
I didn't see that.
I want to agree with you now because let's take a look at the situation of the Chief of Army Staff in 2015 December, where the Chief of Army Staff was on his way during this Chief of Army Staff and the Shiites saga. And people also accused the federal government of impunity, or that Femi Falana has already taken the federal government to court, SSS to court, to explain why more than 300 people were killed, and in the name of a particular set of knowledge. And in his own position, he was saying that, how did you identify, did you conduct a DNA test on them to know that these are Shiites or these are the people that attack? But to me, I want to believe that the Buratai, the Chief of Army Staff, came out, I think 3 days ago, and said his convoy were almost attacked with petrol bomb by the Shiites group. And this person represents the national unity of Nigeria. If such a person is killed, coming from the background that even the former governor, Yaro, was said that when these people were doing the same program, they asked him to turn back. Even some government, Emir of Zazzau were also turned back. Should we allow this to go? And should we call this something? So in my own position, I'm still thinking that Nigerians, as Nigerians, we need to think twice. Because we are the one being killed there, not government.
Okay, let me quickly answer that. We are very quick to be emotional. And in our emotions, sometimes we just run over the facts. Everywhere in the world, people misbehave. And everywhere in the world, there are laws to prevent that misbehavior and to punish it. Now, the punishment has to be commensurate with the crime. Blocking the road is a crime. Asking the Chief of Army Staff to turn back is an affront on the symbol of the army, the head of the army. But come to think of it, by blocking the road, and from the videos which the army made available and which they had already edited, I was privy to learn from somebody who was there firsthand, sitting with the Chief of Army Staff and other people, who said they saw the full video. And in it, there was nobody carried a gun.
Among the
Shiites, no one carried a gun. But he said, if you look at the periphery of the people who were discussing. You know, there was this center where they were discussing, and then there were some people who were coming, like sort of trying to surround
the soldier,
the army officers, the senior army officers, while they were negotiating their way, and calling Zegzeki, who refused to give any instructions to his boys. Now, all this went on, and they noticed that some people carry something like petrol jerry cans. It's an explosive situation, and it's a dicey one. You would not be able to directly fault the army for using some force to clear that group. That was understood. What I cannot fathom is after that first day, in which you had killed a number of people in their 50s, about 50 or more, you went back to their strongholds in the name of saying you don't want this to be another insurgency. And you went ahead to fire at people who had no weapons on them. Some had just stones, some had just catapults, and you fired AK-47 guns at them until you had killed over 370 people. I don't understand how that is commensurate force. This was the second day, not even the first day. You had passed. You had cleared the way, then you came back and killed people, including children, mothers. Malam Zegzeki's wife was shot. She was shot in the buttock. In fact, as at the last time the Supreme Council Committee went to, there was a group set up to go and take a look at them and interview them. I was also privy to proceedings of that meeting. And as we speak, one of the eyes of Zegzeki has been blinded by a bullet that went through his skull. He was also shot in the hand. His wife was shot in the buttock. They had severe wounds. They killed his kids. And none of them was armed. In the rules of engagement of the military, I do not know where you say you shot at somebody who was unarmed because he stood and said, yes, kill me. Yes, some of them did that. In fact, if an eyewitness said there were some of them were making phone calls and calling other people that come to Gialesu because the gate of Al-Jannah has been opened. Come and die.
Is that what you want to support? Is that good?
I'm not supporting what they have done, but what I'm saying is that the response of the army to that is, in my own understanding, by international laws or any other law you might want to use, that was unjustified.
So
it's not commensurate at all.
So I don't want to seem like I'm supporting my brother too much on this particular show, but to be honest with you, my brother, there are rules and there are punishments for every rule that is flouted. The punishment for blocking the road is definitely not death by firing. You can arrest, you can try in a court of law, you can sentence to jail terms. Brilliant, simple and short. You cannot open fire on a population that is screaming, kill us, kill us, kill us. Arrest them. By all means, use tear gas. How many times have they used it in Nigeria to clear them if you think your life is under threat? If you have seen the jerry can, even with what my brother is saying, that I'm not privy to the information, but that they saw a jerry can does not give you the right to fire.
Okay, because of time, because we're running out of time, I want to believe that the actions of the Nigerian army, to me, I'm not their spokesperson, from my own understanding, they are trying to help us to secure our future. Because if you look at what led to Boko Haram in Nigeria, Boko Haram insurgency and the threats it has put in our mind, we cannot just go over it. I saw a video of where people were slaughtered live. It started with these kind of deviant groups. I think sometimes this might be very hard on us, but we have to face it. So I think we should just take our point on this.
To actually buttress the point that you're making, the reason why we face Boko Haram is the reason why the Shiites is becoming a problem for us right now. It's overzealousness. We all saw the video of Yusuf being shot dead.
Unarmed.
Unarmed. Untried by a court of law. And he was killed. The same thing has been done to the Shiites group. What reaction do you expect from them?
No.
Now, what we are having from them is they are saying, "Wallahi tallahi za arama."
Meaning?
Have you seen videos where they are saying that?
Meaning?
They had their own public lecture, and they were saying that one of their spokespeople, even as Ibrahim Zakzaki was held in captivity, he was saying that they swear by Allah they are going to retaliate. They would neither mention when or where, but as sure as night turns into day, they would retaliate.
That's a threat to Nigeria.
Yes, it's a threat. This was how Boko Haram started, with a group that were just kind of defiant against the constituted authority. In the state where they operated, you had to use a helmet if you were riding a motorbike, and then they would not wear a helmet, saying, "I have a turban on already,"
and I can remove that.
You understand? Or you have to take permission to have a procession on the roads, and then they will not take it. Say, "No, we only take permission from Allah." These people, the simple solution would have been to arrest as many of them, and try them. If there are no laws to properly prosecute them, then make amendments to the laws of the country. But for you to say that you have to wait, you want to say,
so how do you go about that? How do you go about to justify that? You arrest them, everybody will still make noise.
Yeah,
and these people, you don't know their plans.
Yeah, you don't know their plans is the reason why you shouldn't shoot them, because then you will be gambling.
And then they will get sympathizers.
Okay. And then you get... No, we didn't do any such thing.
Okay.
Fine, it was true that the army found a cache of ammunition and arms buried where they buried their members. Such things were found, I think, at the Husseiniya.
But don't you think we might not have...
But those things were not in use.
Don't you think we might not have intelligence information like the Nigerian military will have had?
If they have such information, again, they have the duty
to put it out there,
putting it out there and saying this and this was
and
exactly what happened.
The final question I'll ask the uncle is: look at what gave birth to Boko Haram, which is the killing of Yusuf, that made them all popular and people started sympathizing with them. And look at what has happened with Zakzaki. So is there a resemblance? Okay, well, that question will be for another day, and viewers at home, you have to help us to, and that's much we can take on this particular topic. What we're trying to look at is to see how the federal government will reason with us and Nigerians so that killing of innocents will stop. By Allah, by humanity, it's wrong to waste a life that you cannot create. And still on Herdsmen, His Excellency, His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, the President General, JNI, Jamaatul Nasrul Islam, Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar, CFR, on behalf of the Muslims, condole the families of those who lost their life and sympathize with all affected victims, and also call for concerted introspection and commitment by the relevant agencies to take proactive and effective measure in addressing this problem of herdsmen and killing of innocents. So that's the message from our Sultan. May Almighty Allah let us see another time till we come your way next time, please. Barrister, thank you for your coming, and Stars, thank you for your time. I want to leave you with these traits. Let's join hands together to love Palestine and make sure they have their way and they have their freedom. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alif Lam Mim. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.